Hey guys, as Hurricane Milton approaches here to the state of Florida and everyone's preparing for the storm, we have a question for you guys. How are you guys preparing for the storm? Are you guys panicking? Are you guys losing your cool in public? Or are you guys having faith that God's going to protect you throughout the whole way? So that's our topic today here on the podcast. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of the Bump Podcast. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Bump Podcast. I'm your host, Shamir, here with my co-host and beloved brother, Nabil.
Hey there, everyone. There's a storm coming.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. We're praying for everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the ringle-dingle-dingle. Even though the storm's coming, you guys still could find us on
Ringle the
YouTube.
dingle.
Yep, you guys can find us on all our social platforms because we're still going to upload. We're here working for you guys at the end of the day. So thank you guys for tuning in. As you guys know, or most of you all know, we're having a storm, Milton. It's actually a hurricane category 5 right now, dropping to a 4, I think. And once it hits here, Orlando, it'll probably be a 3 or a 2. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know, may God bless us all. Yeah. We're using this topic today as a metaphor of how do you guys prepare for a storm, and not specifically just a hurricane or something like that, but also when dark and very bad times come into your life. How do you guys approach it? How do you guys work around it? I think it's something that we should be very conscious about.
Yeah,
but
I think that's a problem right there. A lot of us, we try to work around things, the difficulties in our lives and things like that. I think the best lesson, one of the best lessons I've had in my personal life is working not around things, but through things. Around things, it's usually trying to find ways to not confront it. Mm-hmm. And we actually have to be able to confront the difficult things in life in order for us to be able to grow, mature, and know how to move forward. And once we get to the other side, and if more difficult things comes our way, then we actually have ways to be able to be more prepared next time. Obviously, like with the hurricanes. How many hurricanes have we gone through in our entire lives? You know what I mean? Between living here and in Puerto Rico, we know what we need to do at this point. It's annoying to go through it, but at least we know we're mentally and emotionally, I think, prepared to be able to just be like, all right, another hurricane's coming. This is what we need to do to protect our homes, our families, and family members, and our personal items, of course, and how to prepare mentally and emotionally and all that stuff. Have, flashlights, have everything that we can charged up, like our phones, tablets. I
think that's that you just mentioned, too, the materialistic things. It's a good question for you guys. What feeling or what sentimental value do you have towards materialistic possessions that can be damaged through not just a hurricane, but also any situation in life? Are you guys giving it too much value to the point where you're just like, oh my goodness, I lost everything? Or you're just like, hey, am I going to I'm going to recuperate this later down the road? That's what insurance is.
Are you willing to let go, or are you constantly holding on and afraid to let go of those items? I guess we're not necessarily adequate enough to be able to tell you, but I think it is a dangerous thing if your material possessions are something that you're afraid to let go of. At the end of the day, when we die, it's not like we can take any of it with us. For sure. So just make sure that you prioritize what actually matters, which is usually your loved ones or your actual home. Anything else is replaceable. For sure. Somewhat rather quickly, your essential stuff, the food, the clothes, things like that. Those should be top priority. If your light goes out, definitely have candles, flashlights. It was funny because I got an email saying that if we were going to stay at our apartment, that we shouldn't have candles on. I'm like, but why? Like, it's not like the wind is blowing inside my apartment unless it got that bad. You know what I mean? Right. But like, why? They just said they prefer flashlights. I get that they obviously don't want some sort of damage if, let's say, you have a child or whatever. Yeah, right. So I get that, but at the same time, it's just kind of like it would just be me and my wife. Like, we're gonna have it on a countertop. We're gonna have it on a table. We're gonna have it somewhere where none of us are just gonna.
I just think one of the crazy things is that a lot of humans really focus more on the materialistic things than the realistic things of a storm or something that's going wrong in their life, right? But I think everything is definitely replaceable as long as it's a materialistic thing. Obviously, you must protect the people around you and yourself. That's the most important thing.
And if you can team up with your neighbors and things like that, that's always a big help too, because let's say that neighbor has sandbags. Okay, cool. Well, then maybe you can provide canned foods. You can provide
I think that's very important too that you mentioned that, because it's like a lot of my neighbors around don't really get along. They have long faces. I've tried to say hello and they just change their face or whatever. And I'm the type of neighbor that will help regardless of that. But I feel like a lot of them hinder themselves from those relationships with their neighbors because of their way of being. And I definitely encourage everyone out there to always be a good neighbor to the neighbors around you and the people that surround you, because in the local vicinity, because in a dire situation like this where you guys got to cut trees down, or a house fell down, or you have to shelter someone or give someone food,
right?
I mean, if we're talking in biblical terms, we have to be able to be kind-hearted and cheerful giver.
Love our neighbors.
And love our neighbors. It's in there, but to each his own,
Yeah. Just again, don't be that guy that obviously you're the one who doesn't like anybody, but then when you need help, can you help me? Yeah. You're closing your own doors
for sure
in your own face because you just decided not to be cool with anybody.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, no, for real. That's right.
And then you're the type of person then that'll be like, oh, nobody likes me. The world sucks. That you're the one closing your own doors. You're the one that's closing the avenues that will allow you to be able to get the help that you require, and vice versa, that you can offer the help to. It's being kind 101.
For sure.
It really is the thing.
I wanted to also really quick give a shout out to all the first responders.
Yeah.
And all the people at the ER, because we were at the ER yesterday, and a lot of those nurses and doctors that are out there, they have to go through the hurricane while being in the hospital. They have to shower and sleep in there.
Yeah, I got some friends that are
thank you for that. My friend Brian, he's out there today. I just hit him up on the gram because he posted that he was going to be in there. So we love you, dog, and all you guys out there. Thank you for that. Definitely is a service of need, because the kind of hurricane we're going through, it might be pretty bad. It might hurt some people, and people is going to need
people's
that
homes,
kind of,
people's vehicles.
Yeah, so people might need those first responders around. So thank you guys for serving us, and we appreciate it here at Bump Podcast.
Most definitely. We wanted to bring up a couple of tools that you guys can put into practice in your own personal life, however you want to use it. Obviously, we can't force you guys, and nor would we want to. These are exercises, obviously, for you to stay calm. And I might even add a couple of things that I've learned along the way. Breathe deeply is the first one. And we've talked about this when it comes to controlling anxiety and all that other stuff. All of that kicks in, right? Breathe deeply. And that allows for your blood pressure to lower itself too. So for those of you guys who have blood pressure issues, deep breaths really work, man. Positive thinking. Well, Nabil, how do you think positive when there's a hurricane or a tornado coming my way, or a hailstorm, whatever it might be? Think of the things you're grateful for. Think of the moments that you've been able to get out of a bad situation. That's a huge blessing in itself. So remain positive. Have faith that, everything's going to be fine. And if things really did get bad, what good can you get out of this? What can you learn from it? So that way, if it were to happen again, how can you be better prepared than you were this time around? So think of that, stay calm, composed, and collected. Stay confident that everything's going to work out the way it needs to. Sure. Get enough sleep. Man, it sucks when you don't get enough sleep and then you have to deal with, difficulties. I think we've all gone through that in various ways and in various situations. So get enough sleep. Meditate or pray. That also helps reduce stress and enables people to stay calm under pressure. Ask questions. That allows you time to process without saying something you might later regret. Practice self-care, of course. Stay in the present. Don't think of what could happen. Just stay focused on what's happening right in front of you at that particular moment. And listen to your body. You know, if you're feeling tired for some reason, if you're feeling fatigued, if you're feeling hungry, make sure you take care of your body so that you can work and function the way you need to under this difficult time. And accept the reality of the situation and articulate it. Don't necessarily think what could have been or what might have been. Right. No, accept the reality for what it is and then go from there.
That's real.
Yeah. Anything else you kind of want to add to that?
No, for sure. I mean, I think that accepting every situation, a lot of people sometimes, I mean, for those people that have a Ring or a door, the door camera or anything near that they have the little notifications of everybody in the local vicinity, people are freaking out over here.
And it's kind of annoying.
It is. I mean, dude, like in a minute, I probably get sometimes 4 or 5 different notifications. I had to turn it off, honestly, because I'm just like, this is how you know a lot of people have it so good here in the United States that they don't know how to go without.
Oh, yeah, totally. If the power goes out, people are freaking out about it. Oh,
my goodness. Like, bro, we bought us Hispanics, and I'm not going to talk, any type of, dividing or segregating different races, but us Puerto Ricans, for example, we bought some dominoes, we got some board games, card games, all these things, you know what I'm saying? Just different types of things. It's just like, bro, like, we understand that this has happened to us. We've gone without, so we understand that, hey, if we got to go back to farming or doing what we need to do in order to eat and survive, we're going to work together.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
And we're going to survive, man. And I just feel like so many people panic so much and don't really realize that it's the situation in front of them and accept the situation, that's why they panic so much. When it does occur, they're just going crazy. Like, it's like also like the new, like all the new generations out there, these young kids, if they go out without their phone, without battery, they're gonna go crazy. If they go without their gaming systems, going crazy, or they just hate the situation that's in front of them. But that's what it is.
There's so many ways to entertain yourself and distract yourself during storms again. God, like you said, sure. the board games and dominoes. It takes us back to how it used to be even before our time, where people would literally just enjoy themselves by interacting with people and having a good time and having some laughs and striking conversations that under today's circumstances with how society works, which is being distracted with your phone, any kind of technological item, those conversations are missing. So usually in these storms, if you want to take a good positive takeaway, it's literally if you have loved ones that you're with, staying with, or whatever, those board games are going to be able to open up new conversations, exciting conversations that maybe you'll get to know something about them that you didn't know about.
Yeah.
So that's a good takeaway. What else? You said dominoes, board games. Yeah, that sort of stuff.
Reading
some time of peace, some time of entertainment,
whatever, just is something positive. And that's the point of this conversation today as well, where it's like you have to, in the midst of whatever storm you're going through in your life, whatever situation you're going through, you have to take a positive out of it. That's what I was telling our cousin the other day when I was in the truck, as this conversation was developing and the storm was developing, that we always have to take a positive out of a negative, because if you have that perspective and, out view of life, I think your life will go a lot smoother no matter what situation you're going through in your life.
No, yeah, absolutely.
And you don't see anything as a negative. It might be a setback, because like I had a lot of things planned for this week. We, for the business and all that stuff, and meeting up with the business partner, all that, everything had to get canceled. So it's kind of like, well, I just look at it as like, okay, this week wasn't our time to do these things. Right. As the storm goes away, I know the blessings will come and it'll open up again. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to just sit back, relax. Look, I got comfy clothes on. I'm ready to just chill and be productive in other ways, read or do what I have to do and just maneuver the way. Because we've gone through so many situations in our life that we understand that, like, you know what, sometimes we just got to chill, sit back and relax and just calm down. I feel like a lot of people nowadays just get too anxious or out of hand for no reason. Like the driving out here this week has been fantastically awful. We were on our way to we were on 436, South Salinas, the Wawa over there. Man, there was people blocking 436 just to get into the gas station, and our light was green on 436.
That's crazy. I'm not surprised about that.
I was honking the horn the whole time, and that wasn't road rage. It's just like, bro, like, what is the common sense? If you know you can't cross right now, wait until you can or find another way to go around. Like, come around the little U-turn that's over there and just get in line. No, they want to block the road and just wait until they can get in there. It's just like, bro, like, you are not being a positive person in society at that point, because you are showing that you're just acting incoherent and just desperate to get some gas. It's like, well, if they told you that the storm was coming 4 days in advance, don't you think that same day that they said, like, hey, let's pump that gas?
Exactly right.
Like, hey, you know what I'm saying?
That's exactly what I did.
I'm telling you, dude.
I've had my car filled up for days, and I didn't have to go anywhere since I had already worked my hours that I needed to work for the week. So I was like, just simple. Right, that last day that I got out of work is when I heard about the storm, and I was like, bet, I'm going to go and get a couple of things. I'm going to go and fill up the gas, and I'm gone. And that's it. And it was cool. But then the wife still had to work, so we had to try and get gas yesterday. So we went to the Wawa. We went to the Wawa, and so they had us kind of line up and whatnot. All right, cool. And then we get to our particular pump, and there's one person, about to pump their gas, and then it would be our turn. Well, this dude's arguing with another guy. The just accepting the fault. But he's like, something like, you cut that person in front or whatever. Turned out, I guess it might have been the guy in front of us, his wife or whatever. He's like, okay, I'm really sorry I didn't see the person. It's all good. So the guy's kind of like, he's kind of bummy or whatever. So even after the guy's being humbled and apologizing, the dude in front of us is just kind of like with an attitude and whatever, lifting his pants up and all that stuff. The dude took forever to pump gas in his freaking truck and that other person's car across the pump from us, and then 2 gallons of the red jugs of gas. I'm like, bro, you're over here being pissed off at some other fool, and you're the one who's making us wait even longer. And it's us, and then like 3 other cars behind us.
People in these situations think that the world is revolved around them and don't have compassion towards other people, or at least the decency to be like, well, you know what, let me just calm down and let me. No, you want to get aggressive, and only if you knew that if you get that aggressive and then the police come or like a altercation happens or you fight, you're going to be in the county jail while the hurricane's happening, because guess what? Ain't nobody bailing you out until first appearance next Monday. And not just that, there's no computers working, so guess what? You ain't going nowhere. So people, we should
think before you act.
Yeah, and we should be chilling any situation in our life. Like the other day, I'm like, we were outside. Late night, we were talking to a couple friends and whatnot. I'm like, why can't people just learn to coexist with each other? Like, I'm not saying we have to get along with everybody, but like, bro, like at the end of the day, is it even really worth having resentment or being mad at someone? Because these are the situations. This is another thing about this topic, man. It's like, these are the situations when people are in dire need, where you see the true colors of everybody, bro. And not just that, you see that so many people are just not ready for the end of the day, which is, death. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, people are not ready, bro. A lot of people are not ready, and they don't know where they're going. You know what I'm saying? Whatever they believe
I think that's what they're afraid of, too.
For sure. Like, man, like,
whether you do believe in a higher power or you don't,
right, like, but just, like, why don't you understand that? Like, it's so, and it upsets me. I don't lose sleep over it, but it's sad to see how society nowadays, people are just like, well, screw it. Well, fuck it. Like, don't care. Well, you don't care. And then when these things happen, you're just like, well, dang, I should have not said this, or I should have not done this.
Right.
Now you're living with regret. Let's reevaluate our lives, people. I'm not trying to be judgmental towards anybody.
No.
But I think that
awareness.
When we're in society where we need to help each other and we need to deal with a certain situation, let's start, thinking before we act, because you got to understand there's so many people that are just living like they don't care, especially in these moments. And then it's like, you know, this is the best advice someone gave me while I was in prison, and I've said it a few times on the podcast. I'll repeat it right now. It's just, sometimes you have to think for yourself and you have to think for others, because others don't have anything to think with.
100%. I think about that saying a lot when I'm on the road.
Dude.
When I'm driving on the road, I have to think about myself, and I have to think about the people that are driving around me, because a lot of people are not paying attention at all. Some people will be on the freaking highway and they're texting while going 70, 80 miles per hour. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah. If you have a Tesla that could drive itself and you're on the passenger seat and nobody's in the driver's seat, then you could text. I believe so.
But I don't even see people using the Teslas for the Tesla to drive themselves. They're always like this.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
While driving.
Yeah.
A Tesla almost hit me the other day for that exact reason.
Yeah. I think hybrid drivers in general are terrible. They're like old 90-year-old ladies driving. Honestly, dude. Like, I've had so many like incidents with Teslas or like Priuses.
Uh-huh.
You know, anybody that's a hybrid driver, it's like seeing a Chinese person drive. Like, you got to watch every single angle, because they'll literally have, it's incredible. Like the you know, the mirrors on each car, and the new ones, they have the little signal that turns on red or yellow,
where
like
there's
somebody's
a car
on your blind spot, right? And they'll still try to hit your lane sometimes. It's like,
what are you doing?
Same thing like with the gas station, and when people are arguing all these things. It's incredible that society is to the point where they need employees to come out and give directions to people, because people are not civilized enough to be like, okay, it's this person's turn, this person came first, this person came next. No, I'm gonna just go through because gas will run out.
And that was the issue we were also having yesterday, where we had the gas station employees out being super nice, and a lot of people giving them like their props and kudos for, you know, doing that. And, you know, you would have them direct us and all that stuff, and you always had those people that just had to come from, you know, from Egypt, all the way cutting through, and you're like, bro.
Yeah, you're just playing.
And then the employee would be like, "Hey, listen, you got to get to the line." And then the person would just get in their face.
Yeah, that's wild.
Why?
Yeah,
why you got to be like that?
So then, it leads me to also say, hey, you know, if you can't be civilized, don't live in a civilized, populated area.
Go live in the mountains or something. Go live in the
mountains. Go do something, you know, be productive in society regardless. You know, help out. Be a favor for people instead of
an obstruction.
An obstruction and an annoyance, you know, because we need to solve these issues, because as time goes by, it only gets worse. And you getting into people's faces, you're just, you know, abiding to the system is what I call it. You're just going to end up in the system and just messing up. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and then the thing is, at the end of the day, that there's so many people that because they have attitude issues, they hate people. Because everybody nowadays says, "I hate people." Mm-hmm. Whether you're young or super old, I hate people.
I've said it personally.
We all have at some point. Right, I'm not necessarily judging or you know, pointing fingers or anything of that nature. What I'm trying to get at is there are certain people that absolutely, with their whole being, hate people, right? That in their own personal life, they're isolated and all that. But then when it comes to help, it's like, oh, I could do this on my own, but not really.
Yeah.
I need your assistance for this, and then they'll ditch you or something like that, right? You can't be like that, because it's not going to get you anywhere. You know, it might take you a mile or two, and then you're going to be 5 steps backwards. Well, like, you can't think like that. You need to be sociable. You need to be able to hold conversations with people. You need to be serviceable. Like, you need to be willing to help people in any way, shape, or form, even if it's not necessarily reciprocated back to you. Mm-hmm. That's not the whole point. At the end of the day, when you help somebody, it usually makes people feel good at the end of the day, because you know you were, you know, helpful, and people typically are grateful for it, especially during storms. That's when you see teamwork at its finest. A lot of times is when, you know, if a neighborhood is flooded or something like that, that's when you see people banding together. Hey, let's get this family out. Let's give them dry clothes. Let's give them a warm meal, you know, a nice place to stay, whatever it is. And that's how it needs to be 24/7, not just when things get super bad.
Mm-hmm. Let me give some advice to every single one of you guys out there. I like to live my life 2 steps ahead of society as much as I can. I'm not saying that I am 2 steps ahead. I just personally think I am. but that's just my opinion. You know, to each his own, right? But
what do you mean by that? Like, this, because somebody could just be like, okay, what the heck does he mean by that?
By what?
By what you just said. That you like to be 2 steps ahead.
Okay, yes. So let me get to that point real quick. So the meaning of economics is technically scarce resources among alternative uses, right? So that means that in our society, you could see when these things occur that there really is gas, food is a scarce resource, and we can't feed every single mouth out here, right?
Right.
So, you know, technically, a lot of people have to go without for a lot of people to have. So when I say be 2 steps ahead, if that's the meaning of economics, if that's the meaning of the structure that we live by in society, that means that, hey, don't you think it's logical when you go to a store on a regular day, on a regular time of the season? It doesn't have to be the summer, it doesn't have to be Christmas,
right?
The beginning of the year, it could be any time of the year. Buy yourself 3, 4, 5 cases of water. Stay stocked up, rotate it in your house, paper, all these things. So when these things occur, listen, I didn't go to the store rushing. I went to the store and like everybody's like, oh, there was these 2 girls. I was with our cousin, right? And we're at Publix buying a sub. We were hungry. We weren't even there for like the things everybody else was, because we already have them. So it's like they were like, oh, it's incredible that people buy so much water and don't leave none for other people. It's like, if you were 2 steps ahead, you wouldn't be saying that out your mouth.
This
right?
is very true.
So my point is that be 2 steps ahead. Be prepared for the war. There's a saying in Spanish that I'm going to try and translate it to English, see if it makes sense. It says, in a war that is known about, people don't die. Essentially, when you already know about the war and the war is coming,
be ready.
You be ready for it. Like, why do you have to wait for things to occur to then be like,
I'm going to take action? We were raised in a home where we were always prepared. You know, our dad was always making sure that we had water and all of that stuff. In our own homes, we've done the same thing. We always have multiple cases of waters on a regular day for moments like this.
For sure.
Okay. I have 4.5 packs of waters that I've had. I'm always stocking up. Once a month is more or less what I try to do. I'm always as soon as I'm at like 2 packs of water, like 2.5, that's when I'm like, okay, I gotta go get 2 more, or maybe even 3 more. Right. It depends. Toilet paper, same thing. We got a good amount of toilet paper. It's not exaggerating or anything, but toilet paper and paper towels we're good on. Batteries we're good on. We had to get a little bit more batteries just because we needed to change out the old for the new. But just batteries, general, all that stuff.
Like basic essentials. Like the main needs, like they should be stocked. And
canned foods. Yeah. Do not wait till the last minute.
Completely wiped this week. I was like, whoa.
I went to Walmart, Publix to just get the small things. Honestly, it wasn't anything crazy, but to see people fighting over stuff like that, and I'm just like, you need to, like Shamir said, you need to be 2 steps ahead for sure, because we live in a state, we know that during this time of year hurricanes happen all the freaking time. So what do? We're already ready for this. Why is it that every Floridian isn't ready? You know, it's like they're expecting a hurricane not to come. Like, hey, amen, if a single one doesn't happen, great, but history shows that is not the case. You know, hurricane season starts around the summertime, give or take, like June, July-ish.
Yeah, and we're actually pretty late. I mean, this isn't really a time.
No, this is kind of common, though. If you look at the past couple of years, between October and the ending of November is more or less when it's hitting the most. Yeah. Which is kind of annoying. It was always
like the summertime, like
that's when the hurricane season starts. Right. By the beginning of November, if I'm not mistaken, I saw it on the calendar somewhere. Right. That's when it ends. Okay. Florida's weather is just predictable. Any Floridian that's watching this, hearing this, whatever, you guys know what we're talking about. Yeah. So anyway, yes, always be 2 steps ahead. Be prepared, because you just never know. You never know. I just got a few more things here, and you know, we'll make this. We're trying to make this short and sweet. Always make sure in these typical circumstances that you're de-stressing your environment. Whether it is deep breathing, whether it is doing some sort of yoga, whether it's praying and meditating.
Go outside.
You know, if you can go outside. Yeah. You know, definitely do that. Learn to recognize early signs of the stress and pressure and work on it. Again, having things like board games and things like that will help you out. Prioritize your health and well-being, not just of yourself, but those around you.
For sure.
What else can I say? Practice gratitude. Make sure you guys are eating as well as you possibly can. Have all your essentials. Have your batteries. Have your flashlights. All that other stuff. And let go of the fact that you can't control everything.
For sure.
Okay? If you guys can do that, things will work out a little bit better, and you'll be less stressed. You'll be less ticked off.
Yeah.
That's super important. Okay.
Sure.
Make sure you're level headed, because at the end of the day, if things were to get super tough, if things were to get super hard and it's out of your control, you need to be level headed for those who aren't necessarily going to be level headed because they can't be.
Yeah. Get yourself a set of Legos. I have a cherry blossom tree over there.
A bonsai tree.
Yeah.
You did get it.
It's the cherry blossom, and then you could take it off and turn it into an actual green bonsai tree. We bought it for $40 at Walmart.
Lego sets are great.
Yeah, it took us about, honestly, between the days, but if we put all the hours together, maybe like 5 or 6 hours to put it. It's a fairly small tree, but it's entertaining. It keeps your mind busy, keeps your mind working and stimulated. Honestly, Legos is the way to go. There's sets of everything out there. You can't say, I don't like Legos. Well, that's technically the basics of engineering. So
that's true.
I think
they do use a lot of that for that. That's very true.
Like, honestly, get yourself one for the storm, or just in general. Living life through Legos, I love it, man. Honestly, and I'm glad that we bought it. So that's just some more advice. But everything that Bill gave today was definitely a lot of gems for just everyday living. It's just not just a hurricane. Just everyday living, learn how to, de-stress the environment was a really good one, because, sometimes the people around you, everybody like gets worried about whatever situation. It's just like, you being the one to change the environment is an excellent advice, because sometimes everybody gets too involved. There needs to be that one person to
level-headed.
To just bring everything back down and ground it.
Oh yeah.
So you got anything else, mate?
Yeah, no, and all this just ties in with a Bible verse that Shamir brought up just before we started recording. It's in Matthew 8, verse 26. If you read before it, it's Jesus. He's with his disciples. They're caught in a storm, and they're freaking the heck out. And they wake up Jesus, and they're like, hey, listen, how are you sleeping while there's a freaking storm out here? This boat's rocking. We could drown any minute. And he's like, let me put it up real quick. They're just like, Lord, save us. We're going to drown. And he's like, why are you afraid? Have you so little faith? So then he got up and rebuked the wind, meaning he told it to calm down, and the storm completely calmed down. Right. And the disciples were like, who is this man? They're like, still in shock, even after having seen what he can do. They're just still kind of like in awe of it. Yeah. Point is, for those of you who believe, listen, or haven't even given God, the Bible, anything like that the time of day, give it a try. You'd be surprised. Right. You'd be super surprised at things that can happen. The last Hurricane Helene, my wife and I prayed about it. It didn't really touch us at all. Here in Central Florida, it was affected. Down south, it definitely affected the heck out of like North Carolina and all of that.
And other states, yeah.
It's very unfortunate. I'm not saying he's gonna, we pray and then all of a sudden just everything's fine, everything's cool. Yeah. No, we have to go through some of the storms, and if we have to face this particular storm at whatever strength it's at, we know that we're going to be taken care of one way or another, and instead of, again, trying to avoid the problem, we're going to go through with it knowing that he's with us every step of the way. Amen. May not make sense to some of you guys, and that's okay. That's why you guys can always comment down below and ask us questions, challenge us so that we can find information and meet you in the middle somewhere. And if not, okay, do you. We're just here to try and do our best to help every single one of you guys out who are either watching this on YouTube or listening to us on the different platforms that we upload our audio version of the podcast. But this pretty much wraps it up. Thank you for listening and tuning in.
For sure. We love you guys. Yes. Everybody in Florida, take care.
Yes, indeed.
Stay safe. Everybody that's evacuated, that's awesome as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. We love you as always. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the ringle dingle dingle. We are uploading today, Wednesday. And yeah, just continue to subscribe to our channel.
Yes, definitely.
All our platforms as well. Please follow us: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everything else. So it'll be until next week. Thank you guys. Take care, and it'll be until the next one.
See you guys. Later.